And we are live. So welcome everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unblinded Real Raw. My name's Fernando, and if you're like here wondering like what's going on, like some of our judges are, is like this is the place where we show that influence is a superpower. It's present here, and this is where you learn it. And what are you gonna experience in these next 60 minutes outside of like fun, like weird, quirky things, like Fernando saying the word clapping and as like a cool thing, and Omari looking at me like I'm weird and talking about like puppies and teenagers like opening cages and being like reckless. We're going to talk about how to build rapport, how to connect with people for the first half of the show. And the other half of the show, we're going to demonstrate how people go from hello to yes. So we have two amazing contestants, three amazing judges, a role player, and of course, Vivian introducing Driving It Home. I'm going to sit Sean in the seat. Vivian, tell us who we're here with today.
Oh my gosh, so we're very excited. Our first contestant is Kyrie Oliver. Mr. I Found My Huskies. I'm so happy you got your doggies back. Founder and owner at Influx Interactive, a marketing company that helps people in business connect better with their audiences and ultimately increase leads and sales. He's generated over $36 million in revenue for his current clients and reached more than 1 billion people with his content. So welcome, Kyrie.
Thank you.
Kyrie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
All right, it's a pleasure. And you're calling in from where today?
Gilbert, Arizona.
Gilbert, Arizona. Beautiful place. There's minor league baseball facilities or something near there, correct?
They're all over the place here. Yeah.
So I was privileged to take my son's club baseball team out there when he was 16 a couple years back. And we actually had the good fortune of winning a tournament out in Gilbert. I think it was the Dodgers have a facility out there or no?
I believe the Dodger Stadium's here in Gilbert, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Kyrie, it's a pleasure.
That's awesome, likewise.
Yeah. Vivian?
We have Keith Krantz. He's the former airline pilot, Horizon Air. He's the host of the Perpetual Traffic podcast, shares cutting-edge strategies on acquiring leads and sales for your business through paid traffic. Best-selling author of The Ultimate Guide to Facebook Advertising, president of Dominate Web Media, markets all over the world, and manages over $2.5 million per month in Facebook ad spends in almost 100 different accounts in over 50 country industries. So welcome, Keith.
Keith, how are you?
Yeah, good. I'm great. Great to be on the show. Should be fun. Excited.
Awesome. So Kyrie and Keith, this is like one of the most interesting breakthroughs, as I think you both know David Gonzalez. Is that fair?
Yep.
Yeah. So David has arranged for the first time on the Real Raw that the role player, who will jump to next, Vivian, is actually shopping for the services that you gentlemen provide. So, and by the way, this is not about sales. This show is not all about sales. It's about heart-centered human connection, solving big problems in the world. And my goodness, we're having some big problems in the world right now for sure. Like, systemic racism, like corona, like levels of bias in gender and all sorts of extraordinary problems. And influence is a superpower, heart-centered with integrity. That's what solves these problems, but it's also what builds business. Like just this week, I was out in Utah at Operation Underground Railroad, supporting the cause of saving women, children, boys, girls from sex trafficking. And the oldest person that they've rescued is 67. The youngest is 6 months old. And it's integrity-based influence from these incredible volunteers and people across the nation that create solutions. So when we talk about influence, we're not just talking about selling a product or a service. We're talking about how our economy works, how capitalism functions, leadership, training, coaching, and sports and business. Every aspect of life and sales and marketing is governed by integrity-based influence. And when integrity-based influence, we believe here, meets non-integrity-based influence, integrity-based influence destroys fear and distortion of non-integrity. So that's like kind of what we're doing here. So Vivian, who do we have as our amazing role player for today?
My gosh. Go ask Lee, and official members at Forbes Business Council is her tagline. Being a mentor to others makes her happy though. Building business opportunities and connections is what she does best because she's the CEO of multiple 6- and 7-figure companies, including her PR and marketing company. Welcome, Lee.
Lee, welcome back to the Real Raw.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, how are you doing, Lee?
I'm doing great. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley, and looking at these experts. Can't wait to learn more from them.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, Lee. Really appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
And Vivian, we have, not only do we have Lee and Kyrie and Keith, we have some amazing assessors that we might call judges. And who are these fine folks?
We have Omari Broussard, Founder of 10X Strategies Consulting and Marketing Strategist, investor and marketing strategist. He's a CPO in the US Navy, or was, and is a combatives instructor. So welcome, Omari.
Omari, thank you for your service, first of all.
I'm on mute. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for being here today.
No worries.
Yeah, and where are you coming from, calling in from today?
I am in beautiful Round Rock, Texas.
Wow, beautiful. We have a heavy West Coast lean today, Vivian. You're sensing that. So, Omari, welcome. And again, thank you.
All right.
Yeah. And Vivian, we have?
We have Nick Huggins. Nick provides fractional CFO services, consulting, and strategy to help companies build sustainable and profitable businesses. Has worked with and advised companies ranging from Fortune 500 companies to brand new startups and everything in between. So welcome, Nick.
Nick, thanks for being here, man. Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, I'm in Austin, so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, really, really cool. And what is it, just for those that don't have optics, what is a fractional CFO?
Yeah, so it's forecasting, cash flow, managing all the stuff in your business that you probably don't want to do. So I can do it for you.
That's super awesome. And thanks so much for being here today, Nick. And Vivian, last and certainly not least, we have
Anna Cummins. She's a fabulous entrepreneur since 1992. She has founded and sold companies in the high-end home goods space as well as food service industry. She has over 20 years of sales experience and trains in script writes to increase sales. Today, she owns a marketing agency that focuses on strategy to help her clients scale their businesses and helps established business owners move their products and services online. Welcome, Anna.
Hey, Anna, I heard you also have a ranch somewhere out there in the West. Is that true?
A what? I'm sorry.
A ranch or no?
Oh, no, well, I live out in the country. Yes, it's a little itty bitty piece of land, but yes, we have yes, there are cows and donkeys and a few peacocks and that type of thing. So, and there is a chicken coop going in this week.
All right. So Anna, so Vivian, let's talk. Vivian, let's talk. If there's a chicken coop, there's peacocks and cows coming from New York, New Jersey area, would that count to you as a ranch?
Yes.
Yes, that's a ranch for us, Anna. It may not be a ranch in Texas, but it's a ranch for us.
Understood.
Yep.
And I'm in Georgetown, just north of Austin.
Amazing. So thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So folks, yeah, like what are we doing? So we're here to demonstrate how influence works with all these amazing experts. It makes it even a little bit more fun that Lee, as our role player, is potentially in the market for some of the services of our amazing participants. And we're going to do 2 rounds. And just for the record, we do this every day. In fact, we're now doing it multiple times a day. And you're on the TED version today of the Real Raw. And we do the TEDx version of the Real Raw Opens that we're doing some 2, 3, 4 a day already and expanding rapidly, where we're unlocking influence as a superpower. You find folks are on the same show that people like yourself, Les Brown, Brad Sugars, founder and action coach, Joseph McClendon, speaker and best-selling co-author with Tony Robbins, TV attorneys, America's accountant Dan Geltrude from national television. All of these fine folks have been here, titans of legal, accounting, marketing, sales, coaching, speaking, network marketing, have all been a part of the Real Raw already and expanding. Political activists as well, and we're on our way to politicians too. So we're here really with the idea that influencers influence influencers to merge ecosystems to make the world an even greater place. So like, how does that all happen? It happens by people communicating and agreeing to things. And what's that structure at its highest level of mastery look like? That is what we explore here on a daily basis. So the way it works is there's 2 rounds. It's 3 minutes each. The first round is simply the first half of one conversation. The second half is the back end. So it's one conversation that Lee in the middle, I'm gonna say, hey, Lee, you gotta take a call in about 15 seconds. And Lee's gonna be like, yeah, can I just grab this? I'll be right back. So it's just a bifurcated call. There's no need at the end of the first to like set up the second. Like that's presumed, because Lee's like, yeah, I'll just be right back, give me a minute, right? So in the first part, what you're being assessed on and judges you're assessing on is how effectively Keith and Kyrie opening Lee's listening. Like there's an openness. We don't want to be Charlie Brown's teacher being heard by the students and saying wah, 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 wah. Benefit throwing into lack of rapport equals I'm here for a transaction to take something. The opening of emotional rapport, not just kind of connection, but true emotional rapport, That's when listening truly is put in place. The second part of the first round is how well Keith and Kyrie put something at stake. Like something needs to be at stake. Because again, if we're a benefit thrown, hey, I could double your business. And somebody's like, dude, I don't want to double my business. I'm completely happy. I'm making a fortune. I work 3 hours a week. I love my life. Why are you talking to me about wanting to double my business? You're just throwing things at me that I could care less about. It's about the person we're trying to influence. So the first round, again, is about 1, emotional rapport building, 2, having something relevant to this person at stake. And oh my goodness, all that in 3 minutes. But it's infinitely doable. That's round 1. The second round then is to solve for what was put at stake by Keith and Kyrie sharing like who and what they are. What are they great at? What's their story? Like how is it that this person, Lee, is going to see her future in their work and then moving into an agreement? Now, by the way, right, it doesn't have to be a sale in 6 minutes. The yes that they're seeking could be a longer meeting. It doesn't have to be a sale. But what's being assessed is the quality of the yes in the second round, right? The quality and seriousness of Lee's yes, and that's what we have. So with that said, Keith or Kyrie, let's start with Keith. Keith, do you have any questions?
You're muted, Keith.
Oh, he's on mute.
Yeah, Keith, you're on mute. How about this?
No, I don't think so. No, I'm just found out about this from coming in totally blind. So let's have some fun here. Yeah.
You just get to be in your natural genius.
Absolutely. Keith, David Gonzalez said that you bet $250,000 that you're going to beat Kyrie today. He didn't tell you that, Corey?
I think it was like 400K, maybe something like that. Yeah.
So, Kyrie, do you have any questions?
No, not at all. Same thing coming into this blind. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm excited.
Okay. Well, you know what's ironic, Kyrie? I am actually blind, truly. So, yeah, my name is Sean Callaghy again. I am legally blind, and I discovered that influence is a superpower when, after being captain of the Columbia University baseball team and hoping to go on and play professionally and get drafted, which I was on track to do, my hereditary degenerative eye condition, retinitis pigmentosa, took that process away, and I ended up going to law school. And you know what, Keith, Kyrie, Lee, our entire family of unblinded folks today, I found out that influence mattered in the working world. And as silly as that sounds, since I was the first person in my family to go to college, and despite having gone to an Ivy League undergrad and graduated law school with honors, nobody told me that influence mattered. I thought it was like sports. You just work hard, do what the coach says, and everything works out. And then I saw all kinds of people not living the lives they wanted to. And I was like, dude, I got to figure this out. And I unlocked it. I built a 40-person law firm, 2 years out of law school, but the fastest growing coaching and training company. Out of my coaching school after selling my first law firm, had 2 top 100 national jury verdicts and created a second law firm that grew from 0 to 100 people in 2 years. I've been on Tony Robbins' stage speaking 5 times, broke the platinum partnership sales records at Date with Destiny. All that is just some blind guy that when I joined Tony Robbins' ecosystem 2 years ago, I couldn't even see a face of anybody in the crowd. And I was just some dude sitting in the middle of the room. But influence, integrity-based influence as a superpower, that's what unlocks those possibilities. So with that said, we're going to drop in. Lee, are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go. Kyrie, I have either a 1 or a 2 under the table right now. And this is like a coin toss. Do you think I have a 1 or a 2?
2.
It is a 2. So you have won the toss. Here's what that means. You can either go first in the first round and keep your choice in the second round, or you can go second in the first round, and then Keith will have choice in the second round. So what is your choice, sir?
I'll go first.
Cool. All right. Kyrie, you have 3 minutes. With a minute to go, you'll hear like a little alarm beep, beep, beep. No, you have 1 minute to go. And all you're being assessed on in this first round is opening rapport up with Lee and putting something at stake. That's all. So that's it, right? Take us in, please.
Appreciate it. Well, first, happy to meet you, Lee.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you. Where in the Bay Area are you?
I'm in Oakland, the Oakland Hills.
Gotcha. I grew up right outside of Oakland in Antioch, right over the.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
You're on my side of the bay.
Yes, ma'am. The good side of the bay. Awesome. Yeah, I just want to know a little bit. Again, we kind of came into this not understanding. I know you work with entrepreneurs, specifically event planners. I don't know only event planners or anything else.
Okay, yeah. So actually, I have a PR marketing company, and yes, I mentor and help entrepreneurs build their businesses, looking at different segments and how to increase sales and connect with their clients. And one big segment of our business is focused on event planners. We have the Event Planners Association. And we just came off a 5-day challenge where we engaged the event planners in it. And we brought in David Tatura. David is a world-renowned event planner who does events at a very high level and high scale. And what we're doing is wanting to create another challenge and gearing up for that.
Gotcha. Now, do you guys do a wide range of events? Is it weddings, corporate, anything else?
Our clients do. Yes, we have 4 segments. We actually, pay attention to 4 different parts of the industry in event planning. Number 1 are the solopreneurs, sole entrepreneurs that have their own company. 1 are vendors, people who supply in the supply chain, whether they're florists or photographers or events planning, but also music. And then also we have the wedding planners and then the corporate event planners. So there are 4 segments.
Gotcha. So you guys got to handle a wide range of different events, but you say
we teach the event planners how to run their business and how to attract more clients. They actually do events and they know how to do events. We're teaching them business acumen.
Gotcha. So you're just bringing the entrepreneur, they're responsible for their own vertical.
Exactly. We're bringing them ideas. They love throwing parties, but they don't necessarily know how to, onboard clients and onboard team and all of the business foundation ideas.
Gotcha. Now, how are you guys currently getting them into your guys' space? Are they all inbound leads? You guys running marketing campaigns?
Yeah, we're doing some things. First of all, David Tatura has a big following already. He has tens of thousands of people on his personal pages, and he's done 200 TV shows. So he has a lot of people that recognize him. What we see is in the challenge, we did not do Facebook ads this time. And that's what we're saying, for the next one would be a big up level for us is incorporating that tactic.
Gotcha. Well, one thing is humongous. When I was doing it organically, I have to send so many clients away because they refuse to try it out organically before they tried paid ads. They think paid ads is the solution for everything, throw money at it and hope it sticks. So you guys have done it organically, lets you understand your market, I'm assuming.
We're doing our best. This is a new way. What we learned through COVID is rather than just a pivot, it's really a reinvention. And so what we're doing right now is looking at how to reinvent and serve them from here forward. And right now, event planners cannot throw events like they used to. They have to really reinvent themselves. And so that's what we're guiding them with.
Yeah. Are you guys
we have to grab a call in about 15 seconds.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I'd love to talk about something going towards the Facebook advertising side. If you guys are interested, if you guys are looking to go towards that way for your next challenge, it sounds like something we could talk about a little bit later.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome, Kyrie, how'd that feel for you?
Good. Pretty well.
Okay. And Lee, if you had one word to share how that encounter felt with Kyrie, what would that word be?
Authentic. Just a nice connection.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Keith, are you ready, sir?
Unmute here. Okay. So I'm ready when you guys are.
Yeah. Please take us in, Keith.
So do I pretend we've never kind of met? Obviously I got to listen to the beginning part, but.
Yeah, maybe this would be just if you would like, because it's the role play. It's a scheduled call, brief call, because you heard that Lee is looking for somebody who does what you do.
Okay. So, hi Lee, how you doing? So what brought you to, what brought you to connecting with me in the first place?
Well, first of all, I have a master connector in my life. His name is David Gonzalez. And I went to David and said, you know what, I really need a Facebook specialist to help me, move things along inside our community based on what we need to do today. And you were one of the people he recommended.
Okay. Very cool. Well, one of the reasons why David and I have connected is because we connect at a deep spiritual level on a lot of different things that we're passionate about. So, he's one of those guys that we share a lot of books together and stuff like that. So you're in the right place there. But so tell me a little bit. So you have an event. You don't have an event planning business, but you actually help event planners. Is that how I heard?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, we launched. So the Event Planners Association was launched about 15 years ago. And basically it's a place for event planners to come to learn business skills. So we are a partner with them as in helping them find mentors and different people to help them build their business. A lot of them know how to throw events, but they don't necessarily know how to run a business. So we fill that gap for them.
Okay. So tell me about some of the challenges in general in terms of your situation with having to deal with pivoting your business and your marketing with COVID and everything. And then I'm sure event planners, obviously it's events. So some of these folks are having to try to pivot and adjust, but also realizing that, you know, a year from now, things will probably be close to back to normal, but maybe people's behaviors have slightly changed because of, you know, habits building in and stuff. But I'm curious on what, I guess what some of the challenges are that you've had marketing to these folks and or that the event planners have had with building their business.
Through our challenge recently, we learned that their number one biggest challenge is attracting new clients in post-COVID world. So a lot of that has to be having online events right now, not in-person events. So it's really, they're reinventing themselves and we're guiding them through that. So right now, if you have to, we did a survey this week, every single day during the challenge, and each day they were saying their challenges are when people cancel events rather than reschedule, and also just attracting new clients and teaching a new way of having events.
Okay.
So events basically are online right now rather than in person. So if you're having a wedding, you're used to having 100 or 300 guests in person. How do you convert that to an online wedding and still feel like everyone's included? And so David Tatura, who is our expert, actually just did an online wedding. And so that's one of the reasons we're using him as an expert, is he's going through that, converting an in-person event to an online event.
Okay, that totally makes sense. Okay, so so you brought on an expert to help you make that transition, because he's an expert in going from live events in person to local, but you are to
not
online,
exactly.
so.
We're the experts
Virtual.
in the online events. We're teaching David Tatura, but while we're teaching David, he's teaching the audience. He's like, well, I used to do events in person and my budgets were $1 million or more. Now I have to do them online. How do I create the same feeling? So we're using him as an example to show the rest of the audience they could do that too. He's just high profile.
We have to grab a call in about 15 seconds.
Yep. Okay. Love that. I love that. So we've actually helped a lot of different influencers who used to do a lot of live events. People like Frank Kern, people like a lot of different big names who got burnt out from traveling a lot to build their business online and use strategic Facebook advertising. I can kind of help you with that on, you know, when we get back talking again. Plus, I have a lot of experience with doing challenges. That's actually my main kind of entry point myself for my business is a challenge. So I can't wait to talk to you about a little bit more about what you're kind of trying to do, but we'll get back to you in a few minutes. Cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, excellent. Keith, how did that feel for you?
Yeah, it was challenging because I wanted to just really get some questions, find out a little bit about Lee's business. I know I only had 3 minutes. And so I didn't really get a chance to, I feel like, build like a personal rapport, but yet, so sometimes for me, I like to try to really find out as much as I can and deliver value on a call, whether we work together down the road or not, and then we can get to know each other deeper as the conversation goes. I'm a little bit more of a, I'm a longer, deep, my calls always go long in general. So yeah, well, it was, see?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, all good, brother. Couple thoughts. Let's hear from the judges first. So thank you so much. Lee, if you had one word for your encounter with Keith, what would that word be for how it felt?
It piqued my interest. So interesting.
Okay, very cool. Okay.
I like the idea that he already understands challenges, and that's really key to me because that's what we see. We've been doing some challenges since 2013. It's not new to us, but how do we do it today is different.
And just for anybody watching out there that's not sure what you mean by a challenge, I think I know what you mean. What do you mean by like understanding challenges?
So we'll put up like a 5-day challenge for our community on how to do something different. So in the past 5 days, what we did was we did a pivot and thrive challenge, teaching event planners over 5 days. Each day we deep dove into a different topic on how they could pivot and thrive in their business. So the first day we dove into mindset. And we just talked about, let's change our mindset, or let's examine our mindset and see how to make it for the future. Not sitting in poor me, woe is me, I can't do things like before. Instead, let's pivot our mindset into what can we do. And then the second day we gave more structure, and the third day we gave more structure. So basically that's how we set it up.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lee, so much. So let's see what the judges have to say. So Anna, let's perhaps jump in with you. Anna, how are you? Is Anna, are you muted?
Yes, I just unmuted. Thank you.
Okay. So how are you?
I'm doing great. This is awesome to
All right.
witness. So,
So what we're going to do, if I could real quick, remember we're assessing on how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how successfully Kyrie and Keith opened up listening, put something at stake, like depth of connection, right? And put something at stake in that very challenging short window. By the way, Kyrie and Keith, thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your courage, because through that, we're all learning and we're all creating acceleration in our mastery of influence. So Anna, if you could, maybe like 45 seconds each. I'll have a buzzer go off for 45 seconds. Maybe first 20 seconds or so, what worked, 20 seconds or so on what were challenges, growth opportunity, and 5 seconds or so to give a score. And yeah, please drop in.
sure. And the score is scale 1 to 10, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I'll start with Kyrie. I think I observed someone very calm and engaging. I did notice, however, that the question of whether or not she was in events came up a few times. So maybe it was nerves. It's 3 minutes after all, but just the presence of listening is something that came to mind. But overall, I think you did a great job in connecting and extracting questions. It was just, not missing the first time around that she was not an event coordinator. She was helping event coordinators. That's about it. So I would give you a whopping 8.5.
Nice, Anna. And what's there for Keith?
Okay, Keith, I think you're awesome. Nervous was very, very clear to me that you were on edge and maybe just trying to find your footing right out the gate. There was no rapport, no hello, how are you, or calming of conversations, getting to know one another just slightly, even in a 30-second span. I think that can happen before we jump into solid questions around what it is that person is doing. But you're a great listener because you were able to catch what she was doing fully and grasp that concept. So I would give you a 7.8.
7.8. Thank you, Anna. Excellent work. Nick, what do you have, sir? Count down 45 seconds.
Yeah, so I think you guys great.
Right, Nick, we're having a little bit, maybe turn the camera off. We're having a little bit of audio challenge. How about this? Maybe let's go to Omari for a second. We'll come back to Nick in a moment. We'll see if Nick can turn that camera off and get a little better reception. Omari, what'd you have, sir?
Here, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, very well.
All right, good. So I'll start with Kyrie. I will say I'm familiar with both Keith and Kyrie from behind the scenes. I've been studying y'all's work, so it's a pleasure for me to just hear y'all speak in this setting. So Kyrie, the big thing was you connected with her in a very familiar place where she's from. You happen to be near there. And that, although that can happen by chance, I think that's real cool. Like that immediately, if you meet somebody that's from your area, I think you just have an immediate, just like, oh, we know each other, we know on that space. And then as we went forward, I know time kind of ran out, but that was the big thing that I picked out. There were something like Anna said, I'm a little bit more rough around the edges. So Anna's probably a better listener than I am. I have a military background, so I like to get to the point. However, in this situation, I think there was enough connection to hearing what Lee said about how she felt. I think there was enough connection there to have a follow-up, right? So I gave you a 7. Then Keith on the front end, he didn't really have that connection other than with David, but that connection was more with David than with Lee. But there was a connection there. What I liked about what Keith did, what he had going was he had relevance to what she was looking for. So barring not having the, real tight connection on the front end, at the end of the day, when Lee said she was doing challenges and by Keith saying, oh, we do that, we've worked in that space before. So I think that was enough, especially like with what Lee said, it was interesting enough to let's follow us up, because Keith, in my mind, if I was in Lee's position, I go, he has direct relevance to the problem that I need to solve. He's done that before. So with that said, I gave Keith a 7. So 7 on both sides for me.
All right. And Omari, if I could ask, your military service, what brought you to the military?
I grew up in San Diego, California. I joined the military when I was 17 years old, 3 weeks after high school. I knew before in junior high that I wanted to join the Navy to become a Navy SEAL. And I stayed in because I wanted to be a Navy chief. I did go to SEAL training, but was injured, so I was unable to complete my dream, which is the reason why I joined. But, I got the opportunity to deploy with SEAL Team 3 as my last deployment. I actually spent the last half of my career attached to SEAL Team 3 and retired from there. So, kind of good. And then I found business, found marketing, read Keith Kranz's book. I was like, oh, I could do this. This is easy. So, got in this world. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Lee, just a quick question. Does Omari seem more comfortable and open right now than he did at any moment before this?
Oh yeah, he's phenomenal, actually. I'm like, wait, how do I not know him already? I should. I love David bringing us all together.
Yeah, and that was one question.
One question.
So the power, right? And by the way, that wasn't a gimmick, because I care and I want to ask him more questions. So indispensable element number 1 of integrity-based human influence is to love all people unconditionally with boundaries, right? So like loving people equals what Oprah Winfrey said was the reason she held the microphone for 30,000 people. She said, I see you, I hear you, and what you say matters to me. And
yes,
indispensable element number 2 is level 5 transformational listening. So my pull inside of me, because we love to talk about ourselves, when Omari said San Diego, I'm like, oh my God, I love San Diego. Like I surfed in Coronado. Like that's what I felt like saying initially, but that's like level 1 listening. It's about me. What's way more interesting is what he's talking about. Like, because I want to know this. I think I know what it means, but a lot of people may not, because clearly you said it, because nobody says anything that they don't want other people to know. So you said twice SEAL Team 3, Omari. Can you share with people why are you proud that you're part of SEAL Team 3?
I was part, even as a support guy, when I was younger, I used to stand in the parking spot of the Command Master Chief of SEAL Team 3. My mentor growing up, he was retired 30-year Master Chief Vietnam vet from SEAL Team 3. So that being just attached to that team in a support capacity, not being the Navy SEAL, still has a lot of emotional relevance to me, because it feels like I didn't make it, but I got there and I got to contribute, and I left happy with that.
And Omari was part of that emotional relevance, pride?
Oh, absolutely.
And I heard that, right, loud and clear. Yeah. And does it, and I know you only give authenticity, so I'm not asking for compliments, I'm asking for like truth, right? Always. Do you feel a little bit more connected to me now than you did at any other point in the show, like in the last 2 minutes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
In fact, we could talk later. I'd love to get more of your story, Sean. That's real talk.
I mean real talk, because I'd love to understand too about skill training and how you were injured and the insanity of that process. And I mean the incredible sacrifice. When I say insanity, the commitment beyond human comprehension of what you went through. What was, last question, just in honor of your service and everybody here who probably feels afraid at times about selling, who feels afraid in the space of marketing. And what we like to contextualize here is that we can shift our conditioning. So clearly you're a person of a high level of self-mastery, able to control your emotions, Omari. And what was it like? What was SEAL training like, if you don't mind sharing?
I always say it's two sides of a coin. So on one side, it's like if you put yourself in a, grinder day in and day out for 19, 20 hours a day. You wake up at 3, you go to bed by midnight, every day. On the other side, it was like the best boys club ever. Like it was like the highest level of Boy Scouts you get. It was cool. And it does definitely test whether you want to do something or not. It definitely does a very good job of that.
Right. Well, that's awesome. And I think there's incredible transferable relevance and self-mastery to the greatest inhibitor of people growing their business, which to me really is fear of failure, fear of rejection, which is why when people come on The Real Raw, and I so thankful, so many people don't, but the courageous who do, is they're like, well, I'm not quite sure what this is, and there's only 3 minutes, right? It's because we all have these incredible fears of failure and rejection. It's deeply embedded into our nervous system. And as we're able to overcome them, that's what leads to our acceleration. And I share this often. This will be the last piece, and we'll continue. The first time I spoke on stage at Tony Robbins, I was handed the microphone by somebody who said, oh, the next person coming up is not a professional speaker. And by the way, I was not a professional speaker. They should come up to talk about, their experiences in Platinum Partnership. And I went up there and I played a role. I played a role of a person who was not a professional speaker. I played the role of somebody who was just kind of in the crowd, and I delivered, and everybody's like, oh, you did a great job. You did a great job. And somebody who knows me quite well came up to me and said, how do you feel that you did? I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, why'd you hide? And I promised myself the next time I wouldn't hide. And so what we're really also unlocking here is heart-centered, integrity-based people of influence have often been taught, as I was as a Catholic grammar school student, to sit down, shut up, and hide. And that's how I lived most of my childhood, my adolescence. And I realized that a lot of the folks who are out there influencing people were people whose integrity was in a different direction. And so what we're here to do is, these are incredible people here. And every day, incredible people assemble here, and the world needs our voices. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage. And that's what we're here to do. So Nick, are you back yet, sir?
Nick is here by phone. So
okay. Hey, Nick, can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, that's a little bit better. Yeah. So what do you have, Nick?
Yeah. So first of all, I think they both did a great job, but in different ways. So Kyrie was really good at establishing some personal rapport up front, kind of getting to know Lee a little bit. And then from Keith's point of view, I understand that he was trying to provide a lot of value in a short amount of time. But I agree, there would have been good just to do a little bit more rapport building at the beginning. I know he said that would come later on, but I think it's good. I think it's good to do both as much as you can. So I'm going to give you guys both a 7 for different reasons, but I think you both did good, and you both have some things to work on.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you for that feedback, Nick, and Kyrie and Keith. I think you both did an outstanding job. This is brand new for you guys. At the end of the next round, I'll have a couple thoughts on a few access points, but I know you're both geniuses in this space. I'm excited to get to round 2. So Lee, are you ready to get to round 2?
Yes, I am ready.
All right. So in this, Kyrie, since you went first in round 1 and won the toss, you have the choice again in round 2. Would you like to go first or second?
Yeah, I can go first again.
Cool. All right. So in this round, like, you've had the conversation with Lee. Some things are at stake. There's like events and, needs for help and support in the world of Facebook advertising. Now it's time for like who you are, whatever. There's no sequencing that's required. The outcome is that you deliver who and what your services are, who you are, what your services are, and move into a yes, whatever that yes is, a longer meeting, an actual sale. And are you ready to go? All right, Kyrie, take us in.
Awesome. Well, Lee, I just want to talk to you a little bit about myself, my background a little bit. Again, I grew up in the Bay Area, Antioch, California. Got the opportunity to play Division I football at University of Idaho. 2013, I totally shifted my life. I was 19 years old. I knew I wanted to help people. I didn't know how. And I was obsessed with human behavior. I'm still obsessed with human behavior. Actually, the only way I get into marketing, or the only way I enjoy marketing, is because it allows me to express my obsession with why we do what we do, why we make decisions that we make. I've interviewed over 900 people. I'm 26 now. I just turned 26. And between the ages of 19 and 23, I interviewed just over 900 people, just getting a feel for why we do the things we do, what makes us operate the ways we operate, what shapes our identity, what shapes our behaviors, just why. I had a whole lot of whys in my head. And it got me into the marketing space. I started doing it for a good friend who was being taken advantage of by another marketing team. I started working with Omari Broussard and his team, got familiar with Tony Robbins and his team as well. Still have a lot of friends in the space, but out of the, I believe we're approaching $47 million for my clients over the last 4 years. 36 of that has been in the events and online course sales space. So very familiar with events. A lot of lately, especially since COVID, is transitioning our clients from in-person events to virtual events, which is not an easy transition, but something we're very, very familiar with. I actually enjoy, again, anything having to do with how we shift our perspectives, how we shift our behaviors is incredibly intriguing to me. So from a copy perspective, from an audience targeting perspective, when we come to Facebook ads, everything to me is a psychology project. Everything to me is how are we going to entice them to do the thing we're looking for them to do in order to get our training. So in order for them to grow their event planning business, in order for them to transition into more of a virtual platform, what psychological pieces do we need to have in place? What pain points do we need to understand about them? How do we need to differentiate as well their wants versus their needs. A lot of clients know what they want. They don't necessarily know what they need from the back end. And so really being able to articulate that towards them is something I'm incredibly interested in. So I'd love to have a longer conversation about it with you. If we're able to figure out how we can work well together, bringing those people into the event planning space, growing those event planning businesses, I'd love to talk a little bit further with you.
I love that. I like that your interest is already in the event planning space and you get it. And yeah, they're in a huge transition right now. So the more that we can guide them and be the experts in showing them the way, the more successful it would be.
Yeah, I love it. Again, it's all languaging, talking to them in their language, not ours, because we know what we think we want them to hear, but what do they actually need to hear from us is a huge thing for me. So a lot of us working together is figuring that out between myself and your team. How do we need to speak their language to get them over to our side to learn from us?
And I want to look at some case studies, things that you've already done and show that success path and see how to plug into that.
Absolutely.
Cool. So you seeing anything specific right now that is helping people transition to online? Do you see?
Yeah.
That's why we're using the challenge approach.
You got to grab a call in about 20 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, it's transitioning over to virtual platforms that are thankfully available to us that weren't even just a few years ago. So getting people more comfortable. So the biggest thing for us is how do we get that in-person feel virtually? And again, everything goes back to psychology with me because that's what I do. So it's how do we provide that feel virtually that they normally get with us in person? And how are we able to walk them through that comfortably?
But now you see why we started with mindset on day one, because we had to shift the mindset before we could even see other possibilities. So I would love to continue that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Excellent job, Kyrie. How'd that feel for you?
Good. It was a little bit more slowed down than the first one, it felt.
Yeah, no, you're incredibly congruent. And Lee, if you had one word for how that felt for you?
More connected. Yeah, connected.
Love it.
Awesome. All right, Keith, are you ready?
Sure, I'm ready.
All right, take us in.
So, Lee, tell me, do you have a favorite movie or a favorite series or a favorite book that you like that inspires you? Tell me, what is it?
Oh, it's interesting. I just the other day we had Tiny Habits. Right now, this is one of my favorite books because it's showing people how they can just do micro movements in the right direction and shift with just tiny habits. And I have a lot of favorite TV shows and different things, but right now, paying attention to those small little micro movements is really important to me.
Love it. I love it. I just read a book. First time I've read his book. Actually, he's the publisher of Success Magazine, I think. I forget what it's called, but it's the same premise.
Ben Hardy.
What's that? Yes,
Ben?
exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's a good book. It's it's the snowball effect and exponential impact of doing things day to day. But one of the reasons why I asked you that is because one of the reasons I've actually grown to really turn this business that I have into a passion and something that I love so much, besides the fact that I used to own local businesses. I actually started, I was an airline pilot, transitioned to owning local businesses, and then left that world about 2006 and left the airlines in about 2006 and transitions from retail businesses to this world in about 2011, and have been doing this ever since. And it's because every single day, as you probably know, it's like a game. It's not only a game about storytelling and creating, but we get paid. The more impact that we make, the more money that we make. And I assume it's similar to you, because you're getting paid to actually help people. And so it's fun, it's exciting. And that's what I always try to explain to my relatives and my friends who don't really understand the online world. And so, yeah, we've been doing this a long time. I wrote this book. It's the best-selling book of all time. We've spent over $300 million now on Facebook ads, which has generated probably over $1 billion in sales, and in literally hundreds of different industries. And clients that I've personal clients that have a lot of experience that teach webinar training, like Amy Porterfield or Mind Valley or Frank Kern, and a lot of these folks. So to me, having the experience, yes, we can talk about that on another time. I started doing challenges myself because I had a few clients myself that we saw their business 2x, 3x, 4x over a few years using challenges back in 2013, 14, 15. That's why I dove into it. So I know that space, it's a hot thing right now. There's different ways to do it. That's a tactical thing. But I have another question for you. And this is something that I always ask. And if we hop on a call together, we can go a lot deeper into this. But I want you to just sit on it a little bit too. Maybe if we do have another call, what I try to do is I ask, if let's say that I was your niece or nephew and I walked into the room and I was looking at starting my own event planning business, what would you say to me? And what I try to do with ads, we can really create a system that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and transforms their business. But in order to do that, number one, you have to be able to storytell. That's why one of the reasons why I asked you that. You have to be able to really tell a story. Running ads in the ad platform, that anybody can learn how to do that. Okay, but being able to connect with someone on a deep emotional level through the camera, so they can feel that, takes a little bit of work. And so what I do is I ask you real quick this question. If I was your niece or nephew or somebody close to you and I walked into the room and we were just sitting here hanging out in the living room, and I said, and I asked, what would you say to me? Like, what would you warn me about the industry itself? What kind of advice would you give me? Now remember, you're not selling to me. You're not writing an ad. You're actually talking to me because you care about my future. And those are the ads that work. But I'm actually asking you now because I want to find out what really makes you pick. And
the first thing I would ask is why do you want to create an event planning business, and get to the bottom line of what is their passion around it? Is it to actually have events? Is it to help other event planners? Like, I would find their passion first and why they want to do it, and then reverse engineer and help them, look at a business. How do you create the structure?
Yeah. Okay. So that
you gotta grab a call, Lee, in about 20 seconds.
Okay. So what I want to do, I want you to do instead, don't tell me what you would say. Actually, I want you to actually answer it to me. So pretend that I'm actually that person. So tell me why, maybe like what you're excited about, and why you got into this and why you're so excited. And what's the opportunity? So talk to me, myself, like I am.
Yeah, right now is just a beautiful time for reinvention in our entire industry. The thing is, life opportunities and life big milestones are happening no matter what. People are still getting married. People are still having babies. People are still getting engaged. All those reasons to celebrate. Even people graduating high school and college. they had to find new ways to celebrate, whether it was people driving up to their curb or going online. So right now is a really great time to enter the industry and be creative and curious about how to do things differently, how to make things brilliant from here forward.
I love it. And so you can actually have more of an opportunity, right? Because it's virtual, because now they can actually do more events and they can help their, and they can be much more strategic and capitalize on this before a lot of the competition comes in. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, but it's really telling that story. I can recommend you some really good books that help, tell the right story, whether it's video or we like to make sure you're doing a little bit of both video and non-video, but I guess that's tactical stuff. We can, I'd love to set up another time sometime where I can get to know your business a little bit more and, see if we can at least steer you in the right direction either way.
Absolutely.
And Lee, you got about 10 seconds for the call.
Yeah, Keith, I'm really glad that you understand the online community, and that is a big piece of this. I've been in the online community for just over 20 years, and I'm seeing the power of it more than ever right now. So yeah, I'd love to tap into those ideas.
One of my private clients I've done some one-on-one in person, he's come out to the house and stuff, has a similar type of business as you. He basically coaches all the most elite real estate agents in the country, which is very similar because that's a local.
You got to grab the call.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's definitely dive into that deeper. I look forward to it. Okay. Thank you, Keith.
Okay, excellent, Keith. Keith, by the way, because this got, I think, a little bit cut off in the audio, or perhaps, you said you had the best-selling book. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, the best-selling book of all time on Facebook advertising. The second and third edition of this book. You'll see it in Barnes and Nobles and Amazon.
That is, congratulations. That's insane. So
it's the Bible.
Yeah. I knew that. I just wanted to make sure people heard that.
And Omari, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, but I recognize your name when you showed up here, and I looked up. I think he's one of my customers. I'm pretty sure you are. So good to see you too.
You too, bud.
Yeah.
Very cool. So let's drop in. So let's go reverse order this time. Omari, what do you have for Kyrie and for Keith?
Yeah, so this time I'll start out with Keith. Full transparency. I'm a customer, so I can be harder on him than most. So it kind of went up and down for me. What I did like this one was the connection point, right? By asking her favorite book, which she was more than happy to talk about, and then relating that to the conversation, right? These tiny little habits, right? Making that connection more on this one. The way he explained the business and what he's done, I think is, like I said before, is highly relevant, right? But the delivery in the conversation in a short amount of time, I had to, hit him on the delivery part because there was just some disconnects there. So I gave, did I give a score? I know I gave a score. I gave a 7 on this one as well. I think if we had tightened up the questions a little bit, we would have nailed it. But she did say yes, right? And Lee did say yes, and she did reiterate again that his relevant, the relevance that he has in the industry to her problem was a big thing. And also she clapped about the book. Books are a big thing. Like if you wrote the book, it's huge. Kyrie, man, the story about your passion for psychology, I think is what got me, because I think sometimes in these sales calls, and I've done them myself, it's kind of like, oh, here's the tactical perspective of it and the platform itself. But to me, as a marketer that I've grown to be, like, psychology is the end all be all. If I can understand how you behave, then I can put offers in front of you that you're more likely to take advantage of, because it's more in tune with what you do, right? The way you think and the way you act. So I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed that Lee also commented on the fact that he's into psychology. So it was less of a conversation about the platform. It was more of a connecting conversation on a topic that they both seem very passionate about, right? Which leads to having that next call and starting off from that point. And then now we can get into the details. So in this one, I gave Kyrie an 8 in this one. I like that psychology thing kind of got me. But both of y'all did a great job. And I think Lee, looking at her facial expressions, and she has that little excitement, like, oh, I'm going to get my problem solved. I just got to choose who to do it. So that's me. Excellent
job, Omari. And Omari, thank you. Great feedback. And by the way, like, what'd you think? I know you didn't even know what was happening here. How was your experience in the real world today?
Oh man, it was awesome. I didn't think I was like 2 guys I follow, one, like seeing Keith and Kyrie here. That was a surprise to me. And Sean, I'm going to say this for the group. I think I speak for everybody. Fascinating man. I can't wait to dive in and find out more about you and hopefully have a conversation with you. I really appreciated the things that you said and added to the whole thing. Like I felt like I walk away, I learned something. Like, this is great. So thank you.
Thank you. And I feel that way about all of you. Appreciate that, Omari. And thank you again for your incredible story as well. Nick, what's happening, sir? What do you got?
Hey, so I'll start with Kyrie. As Omari said, I really enjoyed you talking about psychology and the why of what you do. That was really intriguing, and I think it really draws people in. Yeah, and I just felt you were really in flow for most of the conversation there. So I thought that was really, really good. I would give you like an 8.5, I think, on that one. Keith, I thought you were all more comfortable the second time around. Loved how you talking about the challenges and kind of the relevance to what she's looking for. Yeah, so I think all more comfortable, and you did a great job this time as well. So good job.
What'd you have for a score, Nick?
I'm gonna do probably a 7 for Keith this time.
Cool. And how'd you feel about today? I knew it was new for you, but how was your experience today?
Yeah, no, this has been great. It's been great listening to you guys pitch, because I mean, you guys are both obviously fantastic at this. So they definitely got some pointers for myself. So I appreciate that.
This isn't my style at all. But this has been fun. Like the short 3 minutes, man, this is a good exercise.
Yeah. And I get that. And so for everybody out there, part of the premise is also there may be moments, when we have 3 minutes to create a scotoma. And we'll talk about that afterwards in a moment. And we've got 5 minutes to go before we wrap. So we'll get to that scotomas in a second. So Anna, what do you have?
I'll start with Kyrie. What came to mind when you were in absolute flow. Keith was right about that. I felt you had a deep connection with Lee right out the gate. It was almost melodic. And I loved how you built in the psychology of it. First off, you were discussing something that is clearly passionate to you, and that builds excitement. I could see Lee getting excited. And I felt like you were just in your natural flow. There was nothing forced. And I could see you just kind of wrapping up that initial connection, and almost just, the next call would have been a close. From a woman's perspective, I would have felt a lot more comfortable with that type of conversation for sure. We can't ignore that. Men and women are attracted to certain types of conversations, and it was just beautiful. So I give you a 9 this time. Thank you. For Keith, I think at the beginning, you just mentioned you're out of your element right now, and I think I would have been as well, being on a clock. But the initial interaction I felt was energetically kind of all over the place, and I wasn't really I couldn't understand where we were going, and then all of a sudden it kicked in and you closed it and did amazing at the end with the mention of the book and the connection and the asking of the questions and extracting information from Lee and getting her and asking her to get involved in the conversation. So it wasn't just a one-sided conversation. So this time around, I am giving you a 7. Thank you.
Excellent. And your experience today, Anna?
This is amazing. I love it. I didn't really know what I was walking into. I love David, so I'm here. But I am familiar with many of you, including yourself, Sean. I think I sent him a text message right now saying that you really hit me at a cellular level. So yeah, when you speak, that's how I feel. And this is a great exercise, I think, for everyone. Doesn't matter how long you've been in business and how successful you've been. This is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to watching.
So thank you. So as we take it home, I just want to illustrate one quick point. Share something, illustrate something, and then we'll have a final wrap. So I ate lunch in my car for most of my sophomore year in college because I was playing baseball at Columbia University, and I didn't feel comfortable with the approach of the leadership as seniors. I started all 4 years of college, but I didn't like what was happening, and I didn't know how to communicate and really deal with it, so I just avoided. And I was relatively introverted, not completely introverted, relatively introverted. And as I began to realize that, we solve problems through communication influence, it became the obsession of my life. It led to me having 2 top 100 national jury verdicts as one of only 2 attorneys in the country to do that between 2014 and 16, and the only one that was blind, obviously, or fairly obviously. And I realized that when we function, there's a sequencing, and we heard that. I love what Kyrie was sharing, and I look forward to hopefully getting to know all of you better about how there's a progression relationship. And I was obsessed when I began studying NLP with making it more specific and structured and linear because the content was overwhelming for most. And I was getting incredible benefit, but I saw so many people that weren't. So a couple quick thoughts. When we're communicating with people, so let's take Lee, for example. Lee, what I'm hearing from you is somebody who has achieved beautifully in diverse companies, is a master student of personal development and acceleration, and you feel really proud about that. Am I hearing you correctly, Lee?
Yeah, I invest a lot in that, yes.
Yeah, and like loud and clear. And just when I observe you that way and share that with you, from your heart, like not better or worse, but like how does that make you feel?
Maybe seen and understood more.
Yeah, right. And so you're doing a lot in the world. And can I ask you this? Like, why are you doing all this? Like, it's brilliant. You're clearly an expert, but what is driving you? Why are you doing this?
It's interesting because Keith actually hit on it, and it's storytelling. I love getting really great, juicy stories and sharing them. And that's my motivation. And actually, Keith's like, you have to collect stories. I'm like, well, we have an asset list of 100 stories right now. That's how much we see eye to eye on that. How do you take the story and then take it to the audience and make it relevant and share it and even improve it together?
That's beautiful and awesome. But can I ask this? But why?
Yes.
So you're a genius collecting stories. You love juicy stories, but why?
Because then I get to shine a light on other people's genius, and that's just turns me on to like share their genius with the world. Like David Tatura or my husband Gary, who's a veterinarian who won the #1 veterinarian in America. Me being able to share that story makes me happy.
Yeah, and you just did. And so the whole point, thank you, and this is authentic, but the process. So what my recommendation would be, my proposal to all, would be to begin our conversations in this space. So Lee, in 3 quick questions, 2 of them repeated, which is why, and then just why reformulated, right? Mm-hmm. Got to share what life means to her in 30 seconds. Is that a fair statement, Lee?
Absolutely. It's what motivates me and why, yes.
So in 30 seconds, and did you feel that was sticky or not authentic, or I was trying to like...
No, it feels like you're interested and really care. And then also want to see like the common way that we can collaborate. Like where's that point of entry that we're both on the same wavelength?
Yeah, and so, and the reason it feels that way is because I do, right? So if we come from, there's a 4-step process, 10 indispensable elements, 4 energies, which I'm not dropping into. But again, when we're loving people unconditionally, boundaries, and we're listening at level 5, we're just like present and curious. So I'm not going to go further, but what that sets up beautifully, integriously, and authentically is Lee and I to go into a conversation. Now we move into, if you're Keith, that you wrote the book. I first heard Lee's amazingness. Her husband is top veterinarian. She's working with all these incredible people. She's a student of life, collects stories because she wants to shine light on people. She stepped into and shared her greatness. So we have complexity at times when we share our greatness. And if you're Keith, that's the secret nuclear weapon, dude. You wrote the book. And so if there's emotional rapport open, I can't, like,
well,
I can't.
I always ask that question with people, but I thought about the first question was, why do you do this? But that's usually like a 5-10 minute answer. So I didn't ask it.
Yeah, brother, you could teach a course.
But you're right. I mean, she just did it in like 30 seconds. So it's.
Or you can frame it and just say in a couple sentences why he did this.
What do you do?
Yeah. So, and listen, this is a completely unfair dynamic. I do this every single day, and this is what I study obsessively. All I want to unlock for people is the potential that you can connect at a deep heart level in a minute. And that's all I was trying to demonstrate. And I am blown away by Kyrie, you, and your love for psychology, Keith as well, authentically. I don't say anything I don't mean. I don't know anything about what you guys do. And I need help, and I'm incredibly interested. So I want to thank you, Keith, and I want to thank you, Kyrie, for taking the time today. And, just quickly, Keith, how was your experience?
It was awesome. Great learning experience. It was just a cool experience being able to, they said we all come, I feel like we come to this life to learn lessons, right? So we have struggles throughout, and a lot of times when we're in the struggle, frustration, whether it's through work, business, life, or a relative or a partner, then what's wrong? What's wrong? And then five years later, a year later, 6 months later, you look back and, it was so I could evolve as a soul, right? It's all about evolution. And so, but the best way to evolve or to learn something new is to experience it, right? Kids learn from experience, not from what you tell them. So for me, I was able to really learn from the experience of this, being able to really try to just be very specific, and ask the right question at the right time, and to be present, and how important it is to just one simple question can change the whole dynamic, right, of a conversation, because the energy is different. And I'm sorry.
And Keith, as a marketing genius that you are, I will share from my heart that this show was created because I got tired of trying to explain to people what I could do. And so I just wanted to show them.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
What this is. So thank you.
Yeah.
And Kyrie, my friend, sir, 900 people interviewed as somebody who was 19 to 23 years old. That is unbelievable. Congratulations on being extraordinary. And how was your experience today?
It was fun. I like being out of my comfort zone, and I can tell it was the same for both of us. I'm sure at the level Keith is at and the level I'm at, we don't cold pitch people ever. I can't remember the last time I got on a phone call with somebody who didn't know who I was already. Right. And it's totally different, but it makes it fun. It makes it dynamic. Being judged on it adds a different element. So it was fun. I enjoy it. I'm glad to meet all you guys and to kind of get this cool, it's a very unique interaction that we don't often get. So it's been cool.
Well, thank you, Kyrie. And Lee, you're incredible. And how was this for you coming back as a role player?
Wow, I am so excited. I feel like I have to create like 10 internet marketing campaigns right now. So I can put both Kyrie and Keith to work. That's what I want to do.
Well, thank you. So thank you, Lee. Thank you, Kyrie. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Omari, Nick, and Anna. Thank you, David Gonzalez, for the introduction to all these amazing people. Thank you, Vivian, as well, and Fernando for launching us. It is Fun Friday. It's a wrap for the week. Influence is a superpower. God bless, and go forward and have a beautiful